welcome to Bella Uncinetto. I'm Christina, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. If you're new, welcome in. If you're returning, welcome back. No matter how long you've been here, I always appreciate your time. We are going to take a little journey today to a winery. Now, for those of you who may not know, I am living in Sicily. I work for the American military school system that is on military bases, and right now I'm in Sicily. So, wine, of course, is a big deal in Italy. Sicily, there's so many wineries. There are also what they call agriturismos, which some have specialties. They're not necessarily wine. Some of them lean more towards animals or other types of things. But there's usually always wine somewhere around. Now, unfortunately for me, here in Sicily, and I've tried some on mainland Italy as well, wine gives me really bad headaches. Like, within an hour, I am in tears because my head hurts so badly. Some people say it's the tannin, some people say it's like the sulfites, some people say it's the processing. I don't know what it is. I just know that it hurts my head. Red wine more than white wine. In the States, I didn't really have too much of a problem, although I didn't really drink wine a whole lot to begin with. But the same day that we went to the nature reserve, we also went to the winery. We went back to my friend's house, and she was like, I want to go do something. And I was like, okay, what do you want to go do? And she was like, let's go to a winery. And I was like, I don't really drink wine, but if you want to go. And she's like, yeah, we could go to the one right here by our house. So she lives not too far from me. We're very close to each other as far as houses go. We're also close as in we're friends, but you know, she was saying, when she was saying it's not very far from us, she meant both of us. And I was like, oh, you mean the one that starts with an N? And she said, yes. And I said, oh, I tried to make reservations for my son. When he was here, we were going to go have dinner there because they also have dinners. But you do have to call and make a reservation. So you can just have dinner. You can have a wine dinner. You can have a wine tasting with a tour. You can also tour the vineyards. So there are lots of options. I'm going to get my phone. I am going to be showing you some pictures. However, I also, another teacher friend of mine, went there recently, and I did ask her, she went at nighttime, and so I asked her if I could use some of her pictures because they show kind of, it lit up a little differently. So this is Nicosia Winery, and you can see from the pictures that it has been in operation for a very long time. Now, when we first got there, excuse me, we sat for a little while, and we were given like a sparkling wine. Excuse me. And then we were taken back to tour the wine production part. So we didn't tour the vineyard because we went in the evening. But as you're walking along to go into the dining area, you pass by all of these things that were used to make wine as you go through. And I apologize, I was walking as I was taking the pictures, so Some of them may be kind of blurry, but there are family pictures, all kinds of things along there. I tried to take some pictures of some interesting pieces. They did have the big barrels or parts of the big barrels where they used to get in and like stomp on the grapes. And the lady did mention that during the tour. It was very very beautiful. Even in the daylight, it was very. You could tell the ground was really well kept. So they have been in operation in the area since the 1800s. There were a couple of different dates that I saw in some of the areas, and they gave us during the tour, they told us when they started making wine and in the different areas of Sicily where they have vineyards. So depending on where the vineyard is, depends on the type of grape that they will grow there. Because certain grapes do better in certain altitudes, like here where I am, closer up, right, Mount Etna, you have grapes that grow better in the higher altitude area. And then further south in Italy and Sicily, different kinds of grapes will grow. So they did talk about that. I didn't take any pictures of the maps because I just felt like that really wasn't my business. But so they talked about how the grapes come in and they're weighed, and depending on how much they weigh, that determines how they process them. So they get processed in small batches or in large batches. And then the big, sorry about those itches. There is and I can't remember the name of it, starts with an S. They call them a certain kind of winds that are coming up from the Sahara Desert in Africa, and it is wreaking havoc with a lot of people's allergies. So far, knock on wood, I've not had such an adverse reaction as some do. However, my eyes do get a little itchy. My nose gets itchy, so it's not very comfortable. I am using eye drops and things like that because it gets really dry and gritty feeling. Anyway, that's not having to do with this, but forgive me if I'm like sniffling or my nose itches or anything like that. But the big vats that you see, so I'm trying to look at my pictures while they may be coming up on the screen. The big vats that you see show where they will put the grapes and they get them to a certain temperature, and then they add the sugar and things like that, and then they have to separate the peel part from the pulp part. And then they took us inside. So there's some wine that's produced outside of the building and some that's produced inside of the building. And she said that has to do a little bit with the temperature of the wine, what's needed. And then they're stored in these really large barrels. And to make the sparkling wine in particular, they have to be rotated because of the yeast that they put in. And so there's this little piece that they put in, and so they have to be rotated. And they came up with this big, you'll see it. They used to have a thing where they would rotate it just on like a rack, and they would have to hand rotate the bottles. Well, now they have this big like crate looking thing that they can incrementally rotate the bottles. And that helps them so that when they open it and they take the thing out that they need to take out, they can, the sediment will all be right there for them to take out. So then she took us down into the storage cellar where the wine sits. And on the table was the very first bottle of wine that was produced. And this wine was not um, sold until the 1900s. So they started production in the 1800s, but it wasn't until the 1900s, somewhere after World War II, somewhere in the 1950s or early 60s, the first bottle of wine was sold. And she said that a lot of this is because you have a lot of table wine. So there would be carafes of wine that would just be sitting on the tables in restaurants, and even in their restaurant, it would be something that they would just serve there. So it wasn't bottled necessarily uh, for almost a century. Um, Now you could bring things and get it filled up, but it wasn't like bottled and commercialized to this degree. So that was a very interesting bottle that she shared with us. Then in the wine tasting, you actually got four samples. I only really cared for one of them. It was like the rosé, like, yes, the pinkish one. But it was all good as far as the they had little appetizers, and I took a sip of each one of the wines, but I did take migraine medicine before I even started drinking the wine. And then when I got home before I went to bed, I even had to take ibuprofen because I can only take 2 migraine pills a day, and I took one in the car on the way there. And then I had the sparkling one that they gave us before the tour, and I started to feel it even then, and I was like, okay, I can take 2. Let me take another one. And then I was okay, but I did not drink all of any of the wine, even the one that I was okay with. I didn't drink all of it. I was happy to leave it there because I was like, it's not worth the pain, because it is an incredible amount of pain. So I was like, no, not going to do that. But I did have a good time. My friend and her husband, the 3 of us went, and we had laughs. We learned things, and we had a good time overall. So I'm sorry it's a little bit short with this one, but that's really all I have for you. So I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope that we can do more things together very soon. Be safe, be well, and as always, be the change you wish to see in the world, everyone. Ciao.